But we're excited to welcome our next guest, Derek Dennis of the Calgary Stampeders. The guy has had quite the past few years, Bone Crusher. But you've back with Calgary again, the place that you just can't stay away from. What led to this signing? Derek, congratulations on it, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Essentially, what led to signing is me reaching out, let them know that situation, my previous situation is handled, and I'm free to go wherever I please. And Calgary was first choice. Like you said, it's a place I probably built my name and my most well known for. My resume is pretty much created there. So I figured what better place than to go where I started it all.
I got to ask you what all the viewers are asking me to ask you. Are you willing today to talk about what went down in Edmonton, that forgettable 2021 season?
I mean, honestly, I think I've already said exactly what it is. I don't. People keep asking like what exactly went down. Like I could tell them something different. I mean, what it came down to is just the differences of opinions, and that's really what it was. Just didn't feel comfortable with the situation. You know, in life, there's times and things that you go through where you get a gut feeling where it just doesn't feel right? And regardless of what it is that you need to do, sometimes it's just smart to follow your gut. And you know, well, I guess since I didn't put myself through what the turmoil of 21 was for that team. And, you know, I got a clean slate now, and I got a chance to be able to continue my career and continue, being known as the Bone Crusher. And that's really all I could ask for.
Well, and one of the top tackles in the entire Canadian Football League, you saw Jackson Jeffcoat named you on this show last Friday as one of the top 2 or 3 guys to go against in the league. But I got to ask you this. If you had to do it all over again, and I know you can't change the past, but would you have never left Calgary? You know, because Huff keeps oddly saying, come on back, Derek. But if you had to do it again, would you have never left?
Honestly, yeah. I think if our situations had transpired, I would have just, it would have been my best interest to stay in Calgary. And I've always wanted to stay in Calgary. Calgary's a place that I love to be. I know the city. I know the coaches. I know the organization. I know a lot of the players, man. And when you got a place where you know you've been successful and you have some type of continuity and comfortability and being in that place, it's always wise. Kind of as an athlete, man, that's hard to come by from place to place, right? The unfortunate thing is in the CFL and as a CFL athlete, you always got to monetize yourself as much as you can when you feel like the opportunity is there. And so every time, at the end of the day, it's business, right? As much as we want to keep it X's and O's and what goes on between the white lines, it's still a business at the end of the day. We still have families that we need to take care of. We have to put food on the table and provide a roof and clothes on the back of people who depend on you. So I always make it to exhaust all my business options as best as possible and then take it from there. So, again, home is where the heart is, and they always say if it's meant to be, you always find your way back to it. So that's pretty much what it's been for me.
Well, you're not a dumb guy, and you have had a lot of colorful experiences the last few years. But one of our American viewers, he's in Salt Lake City, says, we're going to miss Derek in the XFL. And I'm like, did you even have time to unpack your bags with the New York Guardian? I mean, how long was your time in XFL? It's nice for him to say that, but it wasn't like you were going on the Mount Rushmore of XFL players. Nope, they don't have one. They weren't around long enough.
Yeah. It was short-lived in the sense of playing. I mean, I was there. I was around for a while. A lot of people don't realize with the XFL, I spent 2 weeks in Dallas with that Team 9 thing, and that was just kind of their protocol. With any new players joining the league, had to go to Team 9 as their kind of the acclimation period to get to a organization. I was only in New York for about 3 weeks, but I did get a chance to be in the Dallas Renegade game the whole second half. Due to one of the tackles, ejections, and all that stuff that happened in that game, right? So I do have a half a game of film from playing in the XFL, and I was supposed to start that Houston game actually the day after everything got shut down. So the first game I was actually supposed to start and be able to kind of finish out the rest of the year as a starter is when COVID hit and everything kind of got shut down. But I mean, in that short time, it was cool for me. I got a chance to be home in the place that I grew up in since playing football in the backyard that I was created in. So I love XFL fans. I love football fans in general because they always have a passion for whatever brand or organization that they claim to, and especially you got those fans who just love the game of football and just is a fan of everything, right? So I think that's more of testament to my resume as a sense of a player, and what people know the type of player I am would show me that type of support. So it's always appreciated.
Yeah, some questions are coming from viewers that are right out of my mouth. I saw what you said on Twitter about the perception of the CFL player, and this viewer in Edmonton has said, his name's Northside. He says, what was the play? Oh, sorry. He says, what's the pay like in the XFL compared to the CFL? I was thinking, what was the play like? Quality of play. Let's start there. What's better, XFL or CFL?
It's unique. I think it was the same type of players. There was a lot of guys who had tried to come to the CFL and in CFL training camps. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that it's very hard for Americans to stick on in the CFL because of the ratio. So a lot of guys are not just fighting against the position, but they're also fighting against that ratio to make a roster, right? So it was a lot of good football players who tried their hand at the CFL and just couldn't stick because they just couldn't fit into that ratio equation, right? And again, what I always tell American players when they come up to Canada is that that ratio is a big part if you make them or not, right? You're a really good player, but if you're competing at a position that they require to be Canadian, then you pretty much have no shot at making that roster, right? So that's it's really no difference in sense of competition. We're a lot of the same players, a lot of ex-NFL players, a lot of ex-CFL players, guys who had a lot of football experience in general in different leagues, right? So I think in the sense of I had to go by competition, it's hard to judge it because essentially playing a different game, right? The small nuances of the CFL game make a different game. You play different body types. What I always said to football players in states and football leagues in the states, players are much bigger than what you have to deal with in the CFL, but they're not as quick or fast or could cover as much space because CFL athletes have to be able to cover a lot more field than you normally have to do here in the States. So I think every player is good in their own right. It's the same thing with CFL to NFL, right? A lot of people think there's a big talent gap between NFL and the CFL. In actuality, really not at all. You outside of maybe the top two guys in the NFL, which is normally maybe one or two guys a roster, right? Not everybody's going to be a Julius Peppers. Not everybody is going to be a Cam Wake. Not everybody is going to be those type of guys where they're just freak athletes who just stand out wherever they go, right? It's only maybe one to three guys on a roster. Everybody else is pretty much able to be interchanged and move around and could go up and down wherever the case may be. So there's not a huge talent disparity in the sense of football players from the league.
Yeah, they want to know which league pays better, CFL or XFL.
I think now with the CFL going up to 65, I think base minimum, it kind of puts them even playing now in sense of conversion. It might be a little more in XFL because you don't have to worry about that conversion rate as a player, and you don't have to worry about the certain tax rate that comes with like certain provinces or comes with certain states. So like if you were a player playing in Texas, you probably made more, right, because you didn't pay state tax. So that's what people don't realize is that us as football players, we pay entertainers tax, right, in certain places. So regardless of where you play or where you're based, you pay taxes in every state or every province, or every city that you play in, right? So a lot of people don't realize that kind of determines your pay, and again, with the conversion rate that you have to deal with, that always fluctuates in the CFL, right? The Canadian dollar could be strong one month and the next month it could be really weak, right? So you got to deal with that as well. So
Pressure. Lastly, we're running out of time. Some want your take on the NFL playoffs. Did you have a Super Bowl pick going into the playoffs or into the season, and has it changed? Your team's still alive. What do you
honestly,
think this is going to happen?
It's changed a little bit. This wild card weekend has been a lot of blowout games. I didn't expect to see a lot of blowout games in the playoffs. But if I had to pick a team that I like that's trending, I think Darren would like this answer. It'd be the Tennessee Titans, honestly. I think with Derrick Henry coming back and seeing Tannehill is he's not one of the flashy quarterbacks, right? But he's a great game manager, right? And as long as he's able to manage the game, and what Tennessee really does a great job of, they have a great defense and they know how to control the clock as long as they can take care of the running game, right? And all you need is Derrick Henry to bust one or two runs to kind of put another team into a different mindset when they get behind. Tennessee does a great job of once they get the lead, they know how to play with it, right? So I think they're a dangerous team that you have to look into. They made a deep run a couple years ago, almost getting to the Super Bowl. So I think with those type of experiences under their belt and them getting healthy at the right time, could be a team that you need to watch out for.
Great analysis, Bone Crusher. Glad to have you back, and let's do it again soon. All the best, and thanks for the time.
For sure, man. I appreciate the time, Roddy.
Derek Bone Crusher Dennis of the Calgary Stampeders. Give him a follow on Twitter. He is a must follow and obviously a great guy. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.